Welcome to Megabucks Radio. Conversations with successful entrepreneurs, sharing their tips and strategies for success. Real-world ideas that can put Megabucks in your bank account. Here's your host, Nina Hershberger.
Well, welcome to today's show. This is Nina Hershberger, your host. And, every single guest I have on is always really, really fun, really, really special. But I say today's is a long time coming. She's a good friend. I've known her for years. Many of you will recognize her. She is certainly on the stage all over. I first met her with my marketing mentor, Dan Kennedy. I think they're extremely good friends, and she was on the stage with him. So I want you all to welcome today Lee Milteer. Lee, welcome to today's show.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, I'm very excited to be here with you. I just complimented you on the best place settings that any woman in the universe could possibly have. So it's great to talk to you.
Well, that is always such a kind thing, but if you only saw the real people who do that, you would say, wow, hers is a little amateurish. But anyway, it's a fun hobby. Today we're going to talk about mindset. And, Lee, you have written 17 books. I'm reading through here. Activate Your Inner Power, Reclaim the Magic, Success is an Inside Job. I mean, you're all about between our two ears. Am I right?
Absolutely, because it's a very underestimated skill in our reality. But truthfully, at the end of the day, it doesn't make any difference what your tactics are, whatever you do. If your brain and your mind are not set correctly, you're going to miss the mark. And I do watch a lot of people who only live by marketing as if that is always the cure. It's always part of the cure, but the number one thing that people have to understand is that 80% of their thoughts are negative on an average day, and can you imagine what they'd be on a really bad day? And your thoughts and your words are literally information to the universe to what you will experience. And if you have a negative mindset or doubt about yourself or insecurity, it's going to show up in your bank account. It's going to show up in your relationships, particularly not only your personal relationships, but your relationships with your clients, your customers, your patients, whoever they are. And again, mindset it used to be a really big deal. And now it's been pushed aside because we have all this technology. And the technology is fantastic, but the person who's running the technology had better make sure that the 6 inches between their ears is tuned up as you look at reality, that you can see opportunities that other people cannot see. And that has been my big secret in life of achieving 17 books and, a sundry of other things.
Well, yeah, because I know you speak internationally. I mean, this is not just, you figured this out last week. You've been doing this for a long time. Let's go back in time, Lee. Tell me what was growing up like, and how in the world did you reach to this point?
Oh, wow. I think we need more than 30 minutes, but I'll give you the short version. My name is Lee Milteer. My parents were farmers and ranchers on both sides, as far back in history as you can go. Ranchers and farmers weren't sons. They were pretty convinced that my mother was going to have a son. His name was going to be Lee Milteer, and so voila, I show up. And so when I was about 3 or 4 years old, I remember my father saying to me, look, we had hoped you'd be a boy, but you're a girl, and we're very excited about you being here. But I just want you to know that I'm going to raise you to be the most independent, self-sufficient, kick-ass woman who has ever walked Earth. And he was serious. So he taught me how to shoot a gun, how to self-defense, how to ride horses. I could drive a stick tractor when I was 8 years old. I had my first business when I was 12 years old. 37 people worked for me on big farms in different places. When I was 17, I was the only person in high school to raise their hand when the principal came out and said, we need a volunteer to go sell the yearbook. And not one person raised their hand but me. And I only raised my hand because it was like, let me get the hell out of class here. But I learned, and I accepted a job, a full-time job while I was in high school as a rock and roll disc jockey. From that, I parlayed that into sales. I realized I could sell snow to Eskimos if I believe in the product. I have a gift. I don't mind telling you. My father had a gift of telling stories, speaking, and so I started my own business doing electronic background music where I put in airports and large shopping centers, electronic stuff. We had engineers work for us. I parlayed that into becoming a professional photographer. I traveled all over the world for like 6 years. I mean, all over the world. I got arrested in Israel as a spy. It took me a few days to get out of that mess. And then I went into commercial real estate, which I did not like because it was very left brain and very controlled. I'm a free thinker. And I decided I was going to become a professional speaker. So here's the prep that I did to become a professional speaker, which is so entrepreneurish. I went to the printer. I had cards made up that said Lee Milteer, professional speaker, and off I am running. And so that's a very short version of sort of coming up till today, but it's been a long career. Yes, I do a lot of work overseas. My biggest clients are in Japan. I spend a period of time in Japan on a regular basis, and I'm very honored to, as you say, be good friends with Dan Kennedy, and I am just so blessed because I get to kind of live. I live in my own rodeo, as one would say. I do what I want when I want because I believe I have the ability to manifest, and I don't think a lot of people believe they have the ability to manifest, but whatever you focus on is going to get a result. And most people don't focus on what they want. They focus on what they do not have.
You know, I got so many things in my mind right now. I could just imagine that young Lee with her shoulders back and her father just cheering her on and just really doing all. I love the story about the business cards. That's amazing. But when you said that they don't manifest, I don't think they even know what they want. I mean, I think sometimes the hardest thing is figuring out what it is you do want. Am I wrong on that, Lee, or is that something in one of your books that you talk about?
Well, you're 1,000,000% right. In fact, I've developed a great business from that they don't know what they want. I do Vision Quest in different places where I will put, 50 to 100 people together, and for 3 days we will do some deep dives. And then for those people who are, don't really want to be in public doing that, I do VIP days in my beach house in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I do 1 or 2 days. And I'm very intuitive. I mean, jaw-dropping intuitive. That I can be with someone, I can almost pick up instantly what the core problem that people have is, that fear is overtaking them. And I have helped so many people just figure out what they want. And our culture is very confusing because we give all these programming and messages to young boys, young girls about this is the way you're supposed to be. And then they put you in school, which is nothing but a memorizing factor. School does not teach you anything other than that you should follow the rules. You can hear the entrepreneur in me, okay? To follow the rules, pass the test, and make everybody happy. Well, that is exactly not, if that attitude is only going to get you in a job that you're working for a big corporation, and since most of your people are entrepreneurs and business owners, I'm assuming, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so they actually understand the difference, and you've heard me speak on stage. I call people who have careers civilians, because civilians are used to, again, following the rules, going up the ladder, and there are times in your life you may have to do that, but if you really have a entrepreneurial spirit, you've got to realize that you can't follow the path that everybody else has followed and ever stand out in the crowd. You cannot do it. It doesn't work. And this is what our society teaches, is that we're all supposed to line up, march to the drum, and do what people tell you to do. Well, I am complete opposite of that. I rebel. I do my thing. I have created a life where, I'm designing my life, and I'm also reaping the rewards, good and bad, by the way, of designing my own life. So I just really want to remind people something my father said to me all the time, and you've heard this yourself. If everybody is going in a certain direction, your butt needs to go in the other direction, because you cannot follow the crowd. You will absolutely just melt into nothingness land. So when I work with people, and I do a lot of one-on working with people in all these books and my products, and I share with them that each and every one of us has a spark of divinity that is original within ourselves, and that you've got to monetize and leverage that.
So go back to your vision days and your VIP days. Give me a story. Somebody that comes to mind and what that person walked in with and how they left after those days.
Okay, so I just finished working with a lady who was a martial arts studio owner, and her husband had died 2 years ago. And she was just completely stuck, that her grief was palpable. She had allowed basically the employees to run the martial arts training center. It started losing money. She started, becoming, deeper and deeper into depression. And so we spent 2 days together, and I basically used the 5 kinds of energy that we talk about a lot: mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial. And so I laid out a path for her of, you can't keep going on this journey the way you've been going on it. And we dealt with her grief, and I have had a lot of experience. My husband got killed a number of years ago on Christmas Eve. We were building a restaurant, and the guy who owned the restaurant next door actually put a hit out on both of us. And they actually killed my husband. I just was not there that night. So that's the only reason I'm here today. So I helped her see that she had to take back her power. She had to make the decisions, and that she had to focus her energy not on what she had lost, but the exciting life that her husband would want her to have if he were here today. And I really just I'm tough. To be honest, I really am I cut to the chase. I go to the wound. Let's heal the wound. Let's face what part we're playing in that wound, and then let's make a new plan. And the result is that she did go home after she recovered from all the truth, and she revamped her business. She actually, I gave her some suggestions on how she could, there were actually some hidden profit centers in her business that she wasn't monetizing that I could see. And we got a plan together, and then she literally went back, revamped the business. She didn't sell part of it, but she did sort of, she got another person to come in to teach, like, for instance, the children in martial arts, and then now they split the profit, and she has more time to do some of the other things that she actually wanted to do with her life. So that's just somebody I worked with like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating because, the human nature can be during those 3 days or 2 days if it's individual, you get all excited and you get all into it, but then when they leave, it's like a rubber band, that goes back to what they were used to doing. So somehow you break that rubber band process so that they really do see a change in their life.
Well, you're absolutely right. People do go back, but I've built into the Vision Quest and also into the personal vision work that I do with people that there are follow-ups, like, within a week, but that person and I are going to have, 30 minutes to an hour on the phone with accountability. And they have committed to, I'm going to do this, 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 and this, and I'm going to hold their feet to the fire about why wasn't this done, how do we get it done now, and in a way that they can take it and they feel supported. So it depends on the package people get, obviously, but, some people I will work with anywhere from 3 months, 6 months, or a year afterwards to just constantly be bringing them back to center. Because the world that we live in is so divided, we're absolutely living in crazy town now, and you can't get involved with the news and the social media, and this is one of her problems. She allowed herself to get so enamored with social media and all the injustices happening in the world that she could never get back to this sovereignty of herself. She was so because she was coming from an energy field of grief, she just, everything that was really sad and bad, she just was a magnet to. So one of my rules was absolutely no social media before noon. None. Not a peek. You got stuff to do. We got to create a schedule that would create a habit within you that your body and mind will start to automatically gravitate towards, where you don't have to force yourself, but that it becomes an automatic for you. And that's a very important thing. It's one thing to identify the problem. It's another thing to have really good, solid solutions that actually work, to make sure you don't go back there.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, that's part of why I love tablescaping so much, because first of all, it's not political. There's not one person in my life who ever says, well, I don't know how you do that. It's all such a wonderful, and I have this, okay, what can I do with that particular thing? And how about I do this? And it changes your mindset even. It's crazy talking to you about that particular thing, but that's almost what it is. It's just, if it were up to me, I would be changing all my furniture all the time because I love change. But doing tablescaping is a much less expensive way to make that change. So Lee, let's go back to your 5 things you talk about. Let's go through some of those a little bit more. You call them the 5 energy something or others. Okay,
so I do have a gift for your audience. I can give to them. It's really 5 short videos. They're 5 minutes each. It's called the 5typesofenergy.com. And when you go, the first 5 minutes will be your mental energy. And the reason I talk about the 5 types of energy is because this is our life currency. If you can control your life currency, you can control your finances, your weight, your health, your relationships, because you take control, you become sovereign with your own life expenditure of your currency of everything is energy. So on an average day, think about your mental energy. What is influencing your mental energy? So I can't tell you which, I believe it's Harvard University, has actually, and I can't do this exactly right, but it's close enough. They have come out and literally said that if you spend a lot of time on social media, that you are actually you're getting a mental illness. And the reason being is because of all this negative stuff repeatedly that is actually pounded in your head through the news, social media, reels, just talking to people, out in the world. They're all focusing in on the tragedy, the horribleness, the outrageousness. They're focusing on things that completely hijack your brain. So on an average day, again, people aren't partaking in what I call mental vitamins. So a mental vitamin might be, listening to your podcast, or a mental vitamin might be, reading one of my books, or, coming to, one of my events or something like that, where there is positive information being offered that you can start to digest. See, when I got started in the world, I believed that every morning, and this was true for me, that I listened to a Zig Ziglar motivational tape. Swear to God. I listened to a Zig Ziglar motivational tape, and I talked myself into believing in myself so much, almost to the point of being delusionary, that I could do certain things. And I was determined, when I first started in the speaking world, that I would be on stage with Zig Ziglar at some point in my life. 13 years later, after visualizing it, telling myself it was going to happen, on a Sunday afternoon, I actually got a phone call from the Zig Ziglar Corporation asking me to go on tour with Zig Ziglar. I never made a phone call, a letter. I didn't do squat. They came to me. Now, I know that a lot of people are going, who is Zig Ziglar? But still, the truth is that what you mentally absorb every day. So if you get up in the morning and you read something that's inspirational, and just before you go to bed at night, you read something inspirational, or you do affirmations or declarations, or you make statements to your subconscious mind, the subconscious mind cannot determine the difference between a real event, an imaginary event whatsoever. It is a complete slave to whatever you tell it. So think about how many people on an average day mentally say to themselves, God, I can never get ahead. I'm just, we're going broke. Nothing's working for me. Everything I eat goes right to my thighs. All those, I don't know how to use a map. I don't know how to do math. I'm not a good public speaker. I mean, it's ridiculous how people project their faults they're so naive. They don't realize that the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, literally hears every word spoken internally and externally, and your world is affected by that. So that's sort of a mental. So physically, your physical energy every day. Again, if you have a goal, where is your physical energy going? People are tied up with procrastination, insecurity. They can't make a decision. They don't know what they want. They flip-flop back and forth. Well, your physical energy is being completely wasted towards your goals in life unless you have a plan. And so I always tell people physically, what are you eating? The majority of our food today, and I'm a big health person. By the way, I take no meds. I don't like doctors. I am very, they're great sometimes, but for the most part, I'm not taking any pharmaceuticals. I eat healthy. I grew up on a ranch. Everything was natural. For the first 18 years of my life, there was absolutely no chemicals put in my body whatsoever. Isn't that interesting?
That is very interesting. Yeah.
And
I'm with you. I don't take any pharmaceuticals either, so I'm with you right there.
So anyway, on a physical level, the average person has no idea what they're actually putting in their mouth. I'll give you a perfect example. I posted something on Facebook about this a couple of days ago. I don't use any deodorants or toothpaste that have, that terrible stuff in it.
Aluminum?
Not only aluminum, but also fluoride.
Fluoride.
Okay, so I go to the dentist, so it's like, oh, would you like a fluoride treatment? And I say to the guy, well, have you ever seen a fluoride package? It says poison on the outside of it. Fluoride has been proven to actually make our children dumber. Our brain doesn't think really well. Aluminum is very bad for the body. So, again, on our physical level, how much are you taking responsibility for being aware of what you're surrounding your body with, like cell phones? Did you know that the new iPhone with the new update actually has a statement in there, something to the effect of you should not touch your iPhone. It has so much radiation on it.
Wow.
It's jaw-dropping. And by the way, I have an iPhone, so I don't sleep with it in the room. I make sure it's always away from me. We when we can, cut the Wi-Fi off at night because all this 5G stuff. So I'm going into, things I know your people think about sometimes. So your emotional energy. Your emotional energy for entrepreneurs, this is where we get into trouble because we'll go, attempt something new, and if it doesn't work out the way we want to, we beat ourselves up. We're mean to ourselves, actually, with our own self-talk. And emotion is what helps you either make decisions or not make decisions. And so, for example, before I go to bed at night, to control my emotions, I always say, everything is always going to work out for me, one way or the other. Everything is always going to work out for me, one way or the other. And we have to control our emotions. We have to control what is going into our brain. We have to control our responsibility. What is ours and what is somebody else's? Because a lot of people try to push it's your fault that something happened. Well, that's BS. Because, everybody has the ability to make their own decisions. And when you're blaming someone, remember when you're pointing your finger at someone, there are 3 fingers pointing back at you because ultimately, business owners and entrepreneurs, you are 100% responsible for your decisions. If someone swayed you, you allowed that. So again, on an emotional level, you have to be, very aware of who is controlling your emotions, who's manipulating you, who's persuading you, who's influencing you. In fact, whoever is influencing you should be vetted very strongly, to make sure that that's the kind of information that you want in your system. And the next one is, of course, our spiritual. I've written a number of spiritual books. I wrote a book called The Magic of Prayers, which shockingly made a best-selling book, which my agent actually said that's not possible, and I went, have you met me? Of course it's possible. So I also have a book called Spiritual Power Tools for Successful Selling, which if I could go back in time, I would retitle to Integrity Selling. So I'm a big spiritual person. I believe that, we're connected in the universe, that we're important, that we can make a difference, and that just being a good person on earth sets a really good example. And one of the most important things you can do as a human being is be a good example. And then, of course, there's the financial energy, which is really how are we using the resources that we have? A lot of people think they're poor, but wealth isn't just about money. Prosperity is really about the quality of your relationships, the quality of the love that you have for what you produce in the world and what you do. Your finances will always reflect your mind. So when people come to me and they're having money problems, I instantly know what's wrong with them. I know. I already know. They got problems with their thinking. They've got problems with their priorities. They got problems with, they got emotional problems. They got to clean that up. You just can't make more money. You've got to really go to the core and figure out what are the things that are negative, that are affecting you, that are making you create bad decisions. So anyway, if anybody's interested in that, if you just go to spell it out, 5typesofenergy.com, sign up, and a 5-minute video will come, I believe, every day for 5 straight days or something like that. My autoresponder people would know that more effectively, but we have people all over the world who have played it they play these in schools, they play it in churches, they play it in corporations. So we sell it for $100, but I'm going to give it to your people because I believe that it will actually initiate a new energy thought in their brain on how can I actually use my resources, my innate talents that I was born with, leverage, monetize those in a better way, and you'll be shocked by making small adjustments, just a little bit each day on the direction that you want to go in. You can turn yourself from someone that you're not happy with yourself to someone that you are really very proud of yourself.
Wow, Lee, that was such great information. I'm always looking at the time, and we are almost out of time, but I've got one I got a lot of questions, but I don't have time for that. Japan. What is there about their culture that you're spending so much time over there? Is this new to them, or tell me what's happening in Japan?
To them, I am a samurai. I'm
a wise person. Is that it?
No. Well, a samurai is wise, but a samurai is a serious warrior. I have actually studied samurai a lot. I had no idea that's why they were attracted to me so much until I actually got over there. I did in 2019, I did a program. I did a certification program for coaches in Japan. It was called Millionaire Smarts Coaching, which I have trademarked. And when I showed up, there was 100 Japanese people there. 80 of them had gifts for me because they'd been listening to me for a long time. And all 80 of them it was something about being a samurai. And honest, I thought this was the strangest thing. So I finally asked, because I had a translator, because the only word I speak in Japanese is sushi. And so I can speak a few other now words, but that's my main one. And so I said to them, why all these gifts? And they said, well, you're like a female samurai. I mean, you're completely calm. You have completely controlled your mind. You have unbelievable focus. You are very direct. You take no guff from anybody, and you're fearless. You are a female samurai. And that's why we like you so much. So I thought, okay, cool, I'm a female samurai. My father would be so happy.
And yet Americans haven't figured out that they really can control all this.
Well, the Japanese are a wonderful culture. I've never met nicer people, more curious people. I mean, they really want to learn. They come to learn with the most intensity of any audience. I've spoken primarily in mostly English-speaking places around the world, but they are very serious about learning. They're very serious about who their mentors are. And it was the greatest compliment, they said, to give me gifts about being a samurai.
That's fantastic. Well, Lee, we are out of time, but you know what? I bet you somebody listening to this wants to know more information about your vision days, your VIP days, your products. I mean, the gift you're giving is fantastic. But if they wanted to reach out and learn more, what's the best way to do that?
Well, a couple of ways. The fastest way is you can go to milteer.com, and that's MILTEER. And if you get there on the menu, it'll say coaching, and you just pull that down, and it'll have VIP days. It'll have VIP events. It will have all the kind of coaching that I do. And I also do something else that your people might be interested in. My main business is I'm a content provider, and I've done that for 21 years. Dan Kennedy gave me the idea 21 years ago, and he said, oh, you could probably do this 2 or 3 years, and now it's been 21 years. I have the same clients, most of them, that I started off with 21 years ago, so I'm doing something right. But I actually fill in the holes that a lot of other coaches and speakers and authors have, that I create all this content every single month. It's like writing a new book every month, and I produce it and I send it to all my clients, and they instantly have a mindset, attitude, productivity expert on their team, and they don't have to hire someone else in their own business. And in 21 years, I've never been 1 day late ever delivering. So
wow.
You might be interested in that. The other thing you can do is just email assistant@milteer.com. I have a fantastic staff. They'll be happy to talk to you and see what you need. I'm getting ready to open a Vision Quest in Virginia Beach, I believe in June of this year. So we haven't started filling that or advertising it yet, but if anybody's interested, they can raise their hand and we can send them information.
Well, this has been so fun, Lee. Thank you for the time. I'm so glad we finally made this available, and I know it's going to be very useful for everybody that listens. You are certainly a rock star.
Well, thank you. If only in my own mind.
Well, it is in your own mind. You're a samurai.
Absolutely. Remember this, everybody. If I may leave you with a couple of thoughts. We are self-fulfilling prophecies. And I mean that to the core of my being. If you think you can, or you think you cannot, you're going to always be right. And that you have to convince yourself that you can do something, and then it's almost as if a magnetic force within yourself will help you achieve that. And the other thing I really want to leave is one of my favorite signatures as I leave all audiences is your point of power in this lifetime is this second in time. Do not waste your power. Go for what you want. So thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, that's fantastic. So until next time, this is Nina Hershberger saying go out and make it a great day.
Thank you for listening to Megabucks Radio with Nina Hershberger. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or to listen to past episodes, visit megabucksradio.com.